4 years ago, I made a video talking about why Black Desert Online sucks, and I highlighted a bunch of things that I really hated about this game. I can finally safely say that Black Desert Online finally changed and landed up becoming one of the best MMOs out there right now. So first, let's clarify all these things that I actually hated, and then let's get into the actual review of the game. Starting off with one of the main things that I really hated about Black Desert Online back then was the strength training and the requirement that you needed to do this in order to really be able to grind more efficiently and be able to even hold things in your inventory. One of the major things that changed that made this so much better is that they removed the weight limit on silver. So now silver doesn't weigh anything. You can have millions and millions of silver in your inventory and it doesn't matter. So this was one of the major changes that really helped the game kind of feel a little bit more lenient instead of it being something that you needed, and now it's just a convenience item, which is way better. Another thing I didn't like was that character customization was bad. And what I meant by that is the actual choices in how many costumes we get. Now in the game, you can actually get costumes. You know, it's not the best in the world. It's not going to compete with games like Elder Scrolls Online or Guild Wars 2 or Warframe or anything like that that actually had a lot of like customization with your looks. In this, you get a few options while you're doing questing and stuff, so that's really cool. You can do the main quest line and you'll end up getting a bunch of boxes of like different costumes and things, which is all right. And also, you can purchase all the costumes that are on the cash shop with the in-game money off of the auction house. So that's another cool thing with just doing pre-orders. So you can do a pre-order on something, you probably wait a while, but depending on the popularity of it, you can end up getting it pretty soon. So there's another way to get those costumes besides only paying for it. Everything else that I mentioned, as far as like the horse flute, the cash shop, and the differences between the explorers and travelers pack, honestly, all these things don't even matter anymore. It's gotten to the point where the cash shop is actually just filled with only a bunch of convenience items that really ultimately depend on you and whether or not you want to get these things. I personally see nothing on the cash shop that's worth buying. When you look at things like, let's say the value pack, for example, that give you like extra carry weight and all those things, you don't necessarily need those things. I actually ran out one day and I decided to just try the game without it. It didn't feel that bad. You know, I did lose out on 200 weight, but there's so many ways to avoid being overweight that it's crazy. Like, for example, you can load all your junk items that let's say you've been grinding for hours. You got like a bunch of junk items that weigh a ton. You can put it on your horse. So it makes it really easy to just stack all those things and just stay grinding for hours until your weapons break. Another thing is also the maid system. So you can have your maid come out and send things to storage. So worst case scenario, if you're in the middle of the desert and you don't really have time to go to a town, you could always just have your maid go take it to the town and then just kind of ship it from that town via the UPS system in the game, basically. And you can send it to a town that you're going to be at. That way you can sell it from there, you know, like, so it makes it super convenient to kind of just get stuff out of your inventory whenever you want, pretty much. So it's really nice. So anyway, now that we just took care of that whole situation, like, I can finally say that video is completely obsolete. So now let's get into the review of the game. First off, let's talk about the good things, starting with the weight limit and what I was explaining earlier. It's gotten so much easier to just kind of like grind as long as you want to with the things like I just said. You can overload your horse, or you can end up just shipping things with the maid system. And the maids are gotten through just doing the main quest line or doing the suggested quest lines, that sometimes they'll have maids in there. There will be daily random drops. Like just a couple days ago, I landed up logging in and getting a login reward that gave me another maid. And I'm like, holy shit. I mean, I already have too many maids. It's crazy. So it's really awesome how rewarding this game has become. And secondly, let's talk about the rewards. This game has gotten very, very rewarding over the years. Before, it used to be very pay to win because there was a lot of things that you needed to buy in the cash shop. Things like, for example, the value packs and all those things that kind of just help boosted you for a certain amount of days, 30 days, 7 days, whatever. Now these things actually drop not only in just doing quest, but also from just a random daily reward. I've gotten so many of these things in my storage over the past month that I've been playing this game that it's just crazy. Literally, I just let the thing run out one day just so I could see what it was like to not have these things, and I still felt like the game was very tolerable. I felt like I didn't have any issues. So that's really surprising from what this game used to be, because this game really was pay to win. Now I can officially say that this is not a pay to win game. But I mean, there are certain things, but it all depends on your opinion on what pay to win is. It's super easy to level to end game now. Like literally, I did a live stream one time on my Shy. I decided to slap on all my mains gear onto that character, which is another really cool thing about this game. It took literally an hour and 45 minutes for me to get from level 1 to level 56. That's crazy from what it used to be, because this game was a super grind. It used to take forever to get up to those levels. So now it got way easier. So you can get from 1 to 60 pretty reasonably between like 3 to 4 hours. Like it's pretty insane what this game has turned into. Pretty much this game is really trying to push you to get into endgame and really experience it. There is a lot more content now than ever before. There's just quests everywhere. Like there's unlimited quests. Like it just seems like there's just everywhere. There's always something to do between doing your life skills, between just kind of like sailing the world. You want to go and you want to grind. Okay, go ahead and do that. Like there's just so many options of things to do that it literally, it's like a game you can live in. And this is something that I've been looking for an extremely long time. I've been jumping from MMO to MMO, Guild Wars 2, Elder Scrolls Online. I tried Terra for a little bit, Warframe, The Division, Destiny 2, like you name it, I played it, and all of them fall flat because they always go back to the same thing. It's either go grind or you just completely run out of fun stuff to do for it to matter. In this game though, with inclusion of life skills, it just dramatically changes the amount of stuff you can do. This is a true sandbox game. And that's the thing that really makes this strong. And it really makes me wonder how future games are going to hold up to this. Games like New World and games like Ashes of Creation. I'm really looking forward to those games. But if they don't have life skilling type stuff to do, then I feel like it's gonna lead back to me wanting to go back and play Black Desert Online. Mainly because it's just the sheer amount of stuff is insane. Both Pearl items, so that's the cash shop stuff, and also top of the line gear can be bought off of the auction house. This is a big deal. So this goes back to almost how I felt about Warframe, which the biggest thing that I loved about that game is that you could go and you can, the same stuff that you see on the cash shop is the same stuff that you can get through just in-game currency and just like working through that. The only thing that Black Desert Online is missing is the ability to change pearls, which is the cash shop money, from the in-game money. If you could change that similar to the way like Guild Wars 2 has it, or even Warframe, it's literally one step away from becoming a true free-to-play game with that aspect in mind. But other than that, you can still buy most of the stuff on the auction house. I've bought some of the best gear that I've ever gotten from the auction house. And the coolest thing is that you can buy, let's say, a weapon that's worth 2 billion. It'll be like one of the best weapons in the game or whatever. And you can go and later on decide that, oh, you know what? I don't want it anymore. And you can resell it on the auction house, get most of your money back, if not all of it. That way you can buy a different thing or just kind of move on, and depending on what you want to do. It's so crazy the amount of things that you can do in this game with that. Like I was mentioning before, life skilling is really, really good. I guess this is something that I didn't really appreciate when I was playing this 4 years ago. Maybe I just didn't care about it. But life skilling, the thing that makes it so awesome is that you could decide on what you want to do in the world. If you want to start planting a bunch of stuff in a farm and make money selling all the stuff that you've grown on there on the auction house, you can go ahead and do that. You can use some of that materials to cook and to actually sell that on the auction house, or even use it for imperial cooking, which is something that I really like to do. So there's that. There's the trading, so you can take horses and put stuff on your little wagon and just take it from town to town. That's a really fun aspect of the game too. Also, while I do that, I also multitask and I catch horses. I'll put them on my wagons and then I'll level them up that way and then sell them or breed the horses. Like, it's a ridiculous amount of stuff you can do with the life skilling. Pretty much you dream it, you can do it. It's almost like playing The Sims mixed with a game that has like an awesome combat system. It's so weird that this game has all this content. It's just mind-blowing, the amount of things you can do, and the amount of mind-blowing the amount of ways you can make money. It's a lot of fun to just kind of manage all these things. And for an MMORPG, this has to be one of the best graphics that we've seen today. Like, even just kind of comparing it to what we're gonna see in the future, like New World and also Ashes of Creation, those games are the only ones that are gonna like even hold a candle to what Black Desert Online is right now. Because now with this whole remastered thing, I have the graphics bumped up to the maximum. You can do photo mode really easily, fly your camera around to take nice screenshots. The only downside I see with it is that there's some textures in the distance that you can't really fix. Like, even with everything bumped up on my PC, I still see like Nintendo 64 textures in the distance, but I guess that has to do with their engine. I don't know, I guess. So it is what it is with that. But for the most part, the graphics are insane. And this easily has one of the best combat systems, at least for a tab targeted game. Because ultimately, I gotta say the truth. This is a tab targeted old school MMO that uses systems that feel like an action game. You can put the abilities in your tray if you like, but honestly, I usually don't do that. I like to remember the combos in my head. That way I can chain them off into other combos. It's crazy the amount of stuff you can do with this. It feels a lot like playing like a fighting game, almost like Mortal Kombat or something, or playing like Smash Brothers or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like a fighting game that was put into an MMO. The only downside is that, going back to the tab targeting, it really isn't truly a game where you can aim and really shoot where your reticule is. It's not like that. It has some aim assist thing going on in this game where you have to actually, as long as you're aiming where the enemy is, it's gonna hit them regardless. So basically, you can't jump behind a wall and dodge out like a projectile. It's gonna hit you regardless, unless you have like invincibility frames like you've been dodging, which you see a lot of that in PvP, where people just dodge like crazy because they're trying to just avoid the damage altogether. So that's the only downside with the combat system. But other than that, the combat system feels so good with the way you combo stuff together. You can easily grind for hours and have a great time while doing it. The world feels ridiculously huge, especially since you can't fast travel in this game. And honestly, I hope that future MMOs don't really do too much fast traveling, because it kind of breaks the immersion of the game in a lot of ways. I used to be one of those that would just like, oh yeah, I love fast traveling. I just want to fast travel to the next town and not give a shit about anything. The thing that feels really good about not having fast travel in this game is that you have more of a sense to want to explore a little bit and see quests as you do them and all that. So basically, like, while you're like going to a next town, you can end up running across like a quest hub and then start doing the quest there. So it really feels like you're exploring a little bit more, and there's more openness to what's happening in this world, and it makes the world feel a little bit bigger than what you would normally see in other MMOs. So that's why I really like the format and what they did with this. It just makes it feel like a huge world. And then also auto pathing is really good in this game. There was something I really hated at first because I didn't like the fact that I was thinking in my head, oh, just people put their stuff on auto and just the game automatically plays for you. Like, this is dumb. But with a world this huge, like I was just mentioning, and having no fast traveling, it makes it extremely tedious to think about having to do this manually. Like having to actually walk everywhere, yourself would be super annoying. And honestly, it would make me want to just have fast traveling in the game. But in this case, since we have the auto pathing, I see the potential with how good this is, mainly because it gives you more freedom to do whatever the hell you want. So let's say if I wanted to travel to like a town that's like 700 miles away, then I could just put it to auto path, and then I can go to the bathroom, go make a sandwich, come back, maybe I'll tab and watch some YouTube. I don't know. Like literally you can do whatever the hell you want. And that's the coolest thing about it. And especially since I have an empire running where I'm trying to watch my crops from my farm. And I'm also trying to watch my workers to see what they're doing and, manage them and all that stuff. I can do that while my character auto paths to that town. So that's the coolest part about this, is that it gives you more freedom to multitask while you kind of get to where you need to go. Now, let's talk about the bad. Starting off with AFK farming. AFK farming is cute. The thing with it is that, just like what I was just mentioning with the auto pathing to the next town, you can do that with your crafting as well. So if you want to process things, let's say you need to make a milkshake or something, and you need to stir the milk first by processing the milk into a cream, and then from the cream you're gonna cook it into being a milkshake. You know what I mean? Like that whole process. It takes a really long time to go through all this, and it ends up being very, very boring to have to sit there and watch. So most of the time you're gonna end up AFKing. So you're gonna set your guy up to start doing the task, and then you're gonna walk away from your computer and go do other things. So let's say if you want to go watch a movie or whatever, that's like the perfect time to AFK. The problem with this is that you're leaving your computer on for hours and hours and hours at a time. And all I can think about is not only the strain that your computer is going through to run this game for hours and hours and hours, but also your electricity bill, your internet bill, whatever other bill that you're paying to have to run this computer for 24 hours straight, 7 days a week, if you really wanted to get the most out of AFK farming. That can be a huge problem. What I would have preferred if they would have made a system like this, especially if a future MMO is going to implement a system like this, is to make it so that each alt that you have, let's say if I wanted to log into one of my alts and start cooking on that one, if I logged off on that one and went onto a different character, or decided to not play at all and just log out, it should continue to do the task instead of me having my computer on for hours and hours and hours to do the task. You know what I mean? That's what I hope the future of MMOs goes to, because I do like the concept of this. But I just feel like the execution of having the computer on for hours and hours is just like unreasonable. And I usually choose not to do this at all. Especially I tried editing videos while I AFK, and it's terrible. Like my computer screams, it gets real hot. Like I don't want to put my computer through this stress. So I tend to shut my computer off when I'm done playing the game. But I see why they did this at the same time, because it inflates their numbers. I doubt that 20,000 people are playing, you know what I mean? Like, it's all a bunch of people that are AFK most likely. So that's the sad part about it, but it is what it is. So talking a little bit about gearing up, it actually isn't that bad. You can buy stuff off the auction house, and just kind of move on with your life. But the upgrading system is absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. It's even worse than what I saw in Phantasy Star Online 2, which had very similar systems of the RNG and the lost chance, and you'll end up losing your stats and all that stuff. But in this case, you could end up completely destroying your progress completely by simply, let's say if you want to get from try to tet or something, and you'll end up rolling the dice and praying that you get it, and it's like a 20% chance for it to succeed, and it ends up failing. You'll drop down to 2 instead of 3. Like it's crazy the amount of stress level that this creates, and also just the money sink is crazy. Most times you're better off just buying it off the auction house off of other people that have gone through all this stress themselves. So yeah, the upgrading system sucks ass. There's no level scaling in this game. This is one of those things that I hope that eventually maybe we'll see it implemented in this game. You know, something similar to like Elder Scrolls Online, for example, or even Guild Wars 2 did really good level scaling. So basically, like, you know, you go to that level area, it will either make you the level of the mobs in that area, or the mobs just kind of match you. You know, that way there's an actual challenge. In Black Desert, we don't have that. So let's say if you're running around with the best gear in the game, then pretty much your only challenge is going to the area that fits your gear score, basically. So if you fight mobs that are below that, it's like fighting a bunch of level 1s as a level 50 or something. You know what I mean? Like it feels pointless because you just one-shot them, and then if you walk up to them, they don't even respond to you because, you know, you're just too high level for them. So this is pretty much how it works in this game. And you'll end up going to areas, revisiting old areas too. Maybe you'll have to finish a quest line there, or maybe you'll have to go do some grinding to get a certain item drop or whatever. And it doesn't feel like there's a challenge, you know? You're just killing a bunch of level 1s, you know? Like that's the only thing I really don't like. And it encourages you to just want to stay in just the high level zones forever. But that gets boring, just grinding on one type of mob forever. So yeah, that's one of the other biggest downsides of this game. There's a very steep learning curve with this game. So there's a lot of Googling, there's a lot of YouTube videos you're going to be watching, especially when it's your first time, because you're going to be so lost. You know, one of the only recommendations I could say if this is your first time playing a game like this is like to just do the main quest line. That's the best way to kind of like get yourself geared out and to get yourself kind of familiar with the different mechanics of this game. Other than that, though, when you're going into life skilling and you're going into farming and doing all the things that I was mentioning earlier, that requires a lot of Googling. That requires a lot of research. You're going to be watching videos forever. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You got to go to the library, basically, for Black Desert Online, because that's pretty much how it is. It's a lot to take in. Now let's talk about PvP. Probably the worst aspect of the game. Reminds me a lot of Arc Age Unchained when I was playing that pile of crap. Basically, it's the same concept. Once you hit level 50, you get a quest that tells you, oh, from now on, PvP is enabled, so people with negative karma are going to attack you or whatever. I haven't really seen a whole lot of people attack me. I only got attacked like one time while I was grinding in a certain spot, and that was it. But after that moment, I didn't really see PvP. But whenever you do PvP, you have to make sure that you have either similar gear to these people or have better gear than them, because gear score in this game is totally all over the place. The same way it is in Arc Age Unchained, where you got the people that have been playing forever and they got the best gear, and then you go in as a newbie, you're never gonna have a chance against those people. Like, they will literally just like look at you and you'll die. That's how it is in Black Desert. Same thing. And the way the combat works in this game is like literally somebody grabs you and throws you on the ground and it's over. GG, you lost. So pretty much this game is almost like rock, paper, scissors with the PvP, where like the first person to do a grab wins. That's pretty much how it works. Either that or be the first one to shoot. So like it's really annoying. There's no real skill level to the PvP. That's the only thing that just blows, is just like praying that you can hit them in between the invincibility frames. That's the only thing there is. And then also you got to factor the gear on top of that. So like it's dumb. I don't like the PvP in this game. The game also tries really hard to nudge you into the cash shop. You could ignore this all you want, but it's always going to be an icon that pops up when you get full on your inventory, and it's going to say, hey, go buy some more weight limit on the cash shop. Come on, you know you want to because you're overweight. Like I said, there's ways around it. You can get away from it, but it's really annoying that the game does this. because it's trying really hard to see if you're gonna fall for it, basically. So that's the thing you gotta watch out for with this game. This game can become pay to win in your opinion, depending on how you look at it. In my opinion, though, I don't feel like this game is pay to win as long as you're smart about it. Like I mentioned in one of my other videos talking about how MMOs just suck these days, BDO is definitely one of these MMOs where it just feels like a giant single player game. There are people running around, yeah. There are, like, you know, people hanging out in the towns, AFKing, fishing, and all that stuff. But there's no incentive at all to team with anybody ever in this game. You can solo everything, except for the world bosses, of course. Other than that, the entire game is soloable. So it gives you no incentive to want to team up with any of the 1,000 players that you run across in the world. And I never really see anybody trying to engage in any kind of conversation other than just bullshit talk on the world chat. It's sad because this doesn't feel like an MMO at all. This could have been a giant single player game. I would have enjoyed myself either way. But still, like, when an MMO is going to evolve from this? Overall, though, I gotta say, Black Desert Online is definitely one of the best MMOs out right now. If you haven't played it at all, then you will have the best time of your life. If you played it back when it first came out like I did, you will still hate it, but until you get in the door and actually try it for yourself, you could change your mind. I definitely changed my mind. I tried so hard to fight not playing this game. Like, I really didn't want to get back into Black Desert Online, but then I started to notice all the positive changes that this game made over the years. That it's crazy. The developers are actually listening. They're adding new characters all the time. They just added the Sage and the Awakening to the Sage, which is so much fun. It's my main right now. I've been playing the hell out of it. And like, it's just constantly just evolving. So I'm really hoping that in the future we start to see some of the things that I was mentioning. Just hoping that we see level scaling, we see things that just actually increase the challenge, things that are gonna help people want to team together, which I saw that they were working on some kind of co-op dungeon type thing. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I mean, I'm really hopeful for the future of Black Desert. It can end up being a really good game. You know, like, it's already an excellent game right now. And for only $10 on Steam, like, it's a steal, honestly. Because, like, at this moment, like, I got it for free on Steam after, you know, years. They just decided to give it for free. So I decided to play it again because of that. And I'm incredibly impressed with it. I haven't spent a dime yet. But I'm actually thinking about buying skins, like buying, like, costumes and stuff. Because I just kind of want to, like, you know, give a little love to Pearl Abyss for what they've done over the years. Because this is definitely a very, very good game. So anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Thumbs down if you didn't. Have a good one. Take it easy. See you on the next one.